Hello, everybody listening, watching this very special session on GenAI Stack, the most sought after topic nowadays. My name is Henry Zakam, and I lead the alliances and strategic partnerships for APJ at DataStax. We are here to learn more about how building retrieval augmented generation, RAG apps, has become faster and easier for the developers. We have some great eminent speakers and influencers. Bridge, I'm sure most of you know, is a very seasoned professional who can design, develop, and deliver scalable and robust applications using multiple technologies and, of course, on the cloud and AI. And he's also an author, a GenAI strategist, a data professional, and an architect, and with a lot of passion and innovation to, for learning and then posting a lot of stuff for his followers across the globe. Last that I've seen was around 475,000 followers. That's awesome to go. And then we also have here Anthony. Anthony has 7+ years of experience working with AWS, and is responsible for building product integrations for ISVs with the AWS data and analytics services. He actually proposes, creates, executes on GTM strategy with the partners, and also has been presenter in most of the events which are largely seen across the globe, the AWS events. He co-authored technical content such as migration playbooks, APN partner blogs, AWS reference architectures, and partner hosted blogs. And then, and works very closely with partners like us, and in terms of the marketing on the joint webinars, video content, and events. And we also have Q. Q is our CTO, corporate development and partnerships at DataStax. Welcome you all. Thank you so much for joining in, speakers. And yeah, to start off, I'm really thrilled to see Bridge here. I've spoken to him a lot of times. I've seen his articles, but first time I'm seeing him in presence. I'm sure most of the developers who are listening to this or watching this also are seeing him first time probably. Bridge, I appreciate your passion for technology and as an influencer impacting many developers across the globe, mostly APAC. Can you elaborate on how all this has started? I'm sure many of the listeners here would like to know about this. Over to you, Bridge.
Yeah, sure. Henry, thank you for having me in this session. Yeah, definitely. I would love to explore more about about my journey on this front, basically. So you know what, like it was the year 2022, December. So I just put something over LinkedIn. I was not very much active on the LinkedIn at that time. I just put something over there, and I think it was related to Python programming or something like that. I do not recall that right now. But I got a very good feedback. I got so many messages that, hey, the way you have covered this topic, it has made our life easier because we were able to grasp a lot of concepts out of this. So I thought, oh, is it okay? So let me work on in that direction. So I started working in more into that. I started posting a lot of stuff over LinkedIn, and I started getting a lot of I would say a lot of good feedback on that. And it was like that. I thought that, okay, I may not be the best person to explain in this way, so let me record some videos. I started recording some videos and start putting over there. But you know what, like after some time, like I felt that I'm not getting much time to do all those things, so let me put everything in an infographic format. So that is where I started with that one. I started putting it over there, and then I received a lot of good feedbacks, and a lot of people they reached me out and said uh, that why don't you monetize this, because now we have gotten so many audience over there, and it's a good platform to monetize that. I thought, okay, I can definitely do that, but let me first put the best I can do over there. So I started gaining a lot of audience over there and a lot of good feedbacks. I got so many uh, feedback from the people from different walks of life. They told that how my articles and all these posts are useful and how like they are able to gain a lot of knowledge out of that. So yeah, that's how my journey started over LinkedIn and over social media. Yeah. Okay. So now um, we have Anthony and Q. Okay, so let me go to Anthony first. So Anthony, let I think we are here to discuss about the GenAI stack. Okay. So let me ask you something. So can you tell some news uh, on GenAI front that is there in AWS side, and also how top ISV partners like DataStax are doing on that front. So it would be really nice if you can elaborate this to us.
Thank you, Bridge. And pleasure to be here with all of you guys. Congratulations, Bridge, on your fan following. I would say on LinkedIn. So it's a nice way to build your career. Speaking about Gen AI, here's what I think. It's not a phenomenon that came in 6, 7 months or 8 months ago, right? At AWS, if you think about the Alexa, home appliance, we had that for years, and that used conversation style conversations. We were able to create an interface with humans where the human asks a question and Alexa was able to give you a response. That was built on Alexa TM or teacher module, right? So how do we build that? We built it using SageMaker Jumpstart. I'm going to talk about SageMaker in a few more slides. But to answer your question, Gen AI is not a new phenomenon. It's existed for time. Today, why is it so important, right? I think that's the conversation where I would like to lead to. And if I may, I might share one particular slide that really talks to the world about what it is all about. Um, okay, so think about this, right? I think the reason we're having this conversation today is because we believe that machines can create or AI can create very authentic content, really close enough to real world scenarios, real use cases. Think about it, right? So in media entertainment, maybe we might have Quentin Tarantino underscore triple two or 133, and he might direct a movie, but it's not Quentin Tarantino, right? Use cases in pharma and healthcare, right, where we are able to diagnose what a patient should be treated with, right, based on historical data that we've gathered over time, right? If you're using, an airlines company and you want to make a booking or book a ticket, so it knows Bridges' travel history, it knows Bridges' travel patterns, it knows Bridges is very comfortable in these regions, so it throws in recommendations, right? And from a developer's point of view, long gone are the days where we used to write 2,000, 3,000 lines of code as an ETL developer or a development engineer. We don't want to do that anymore. Today, the machine can generate code for you. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about some of those services that AWS has to actually help you not just automate what you're trying to do, but also help you do your job by giving you code without even you having to write code. So Bridge, maybe some of the sessions you took back in the day for Python may not be so, you can actually simplify that and provide that code to users today. Is that easy?
Yep, that's right.
And the possibilities are endless, Bridge. We can go on, but I just want to give the audience the art of the possible on what are some of the use cases that we can tackle with generative AI. It's not going to take away jobs. What I feel is it is going to provide a tool for everyone to educate themselves. Today, a business developer who doesn't have Python programming, today a program manager who doesn't have the ability to create AI ML models can leverage services that Amazon provides with Bedrock and the power of DataStax to build those GenAI applications together. So it's not just one solution, it's a combination of these tools.
All right. So yeah, this looks promising, and yeah, obviously, I mean, Bedrock is a brand name in itself inside AWS stack. So That needs no introduction over here. Uh, but yeah,
And
today,
I do want to say, sorry, Bridge, I do want to congratulate Q and the team and Henry DataStax for being a GenAI competency partner,
yes,
because that competency was
that
something that the entire team put together. And I can tell you that a very select few ISVs are part of that GenAI competency. So today, AWS endorses DataStax that they can
data
build
stack. Yeah.
tools. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know what, like a couple of days before, I was just exploring the Bedrock and I got a suggestion to use the data stacks basically. So I knew that, okay, now like data stack has reached at a point where like, it has been well integrated with AWS ecosystem and we can leverage its full potential on top of Bedrock. Yeah, so that's really
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate that. It's obviously is a huge milestone for us, and we love working with AWS. Now, but I wanted to sort of put you on the spot a little bit, Anthony, which is so I like hearing about it because there's something you could show us.
Absolutely. So, to answer your question, Q, this is how easy Bedrock makes it for a user today, right? So, as soon as people go into the console, first thing is there are a bunch of foundation models that we have. Like we just launched Llama 3 on Amazon Bedrock and SageMaker Jumpstart. We have Claude 3, different flavors of Claude 3, and I have an extensive list for you. Stability AI is something that is very popular for us. And so you pick your model, right? And then the next step is, what if I'm a data scientist and I know what parameters I want to tune, or I know what parameters that I don't need and what parameters I need? You can customize your model. So let's say you pick Claude 3, Haiku, and then you want to customize that model. Now, here's the important thing. A lot of customers come to me, Q and team, and say, hey, Anthony, is the data secure? Like, okay, we're having data stored in a legacy system outside AWS account, and then we need to bring it to S3. How are we ensuring that data is secure, right? So to answer the question, before I'm sure this question is popping up in every audience's mind, is I want to take you and help you understand what is AWS Private Link. And again, thanks for being integrated with AWS Private Link. As you know, DataStax has an integration with AWS Private Link. So Bedrock is Private Link enabled. What that means is data coming in from outside into your AWS VPC, into your account is absolutely secure, both in transit and in motion. Here's the most important thing. When you customize your model, what Bedrock does under the hood is it creates a copy. It creates a clone of, let's say, Llama 2 or Llama 3, and then only you as a user have access to that model in that instance. So no one else has access to the model, and no one else has access to the data. So once you save the changes, and let's say you want to share it with your team, you can provide the necessary IAM roles and permissions to that user to leverage Bedrock, right? And here's the beauty of this. It's a single API, guys, not multiple APIs. With a single access to the Bedrock API, you can process any kind of user request. And what if I told you this whole workflow can be automated using something known as Amazon Bedrock agents, which I would love to talk about. But before that, Q, I'll hand it over to you and let us know the art of the possible and talk to us about why are vector databases important? Because think about it, right? There was a time 5-6 years ago where people were saying, hey, you got to move data out of a database, move it to the data lake. We had the concept of data mesh, right? Spring around. Why are we back to square one? Why is the world moving back to the fact that we need to put data back into a database like DataStax to actually vectorize the format and then create embeddings from that? So talk to us about that, Q.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to share my screen real quick and just sort of, I'm going to also sort of talk through sort of DataStax's current sort of development stack. So let me share this and let me put this in slideshow view and Michelle can cut this out. Okay. So, obviously, if we're needing to provide the kinds of sort of fuzzy matching that is necessary to provide an LLM with the context it's looking for, that's generally what we're trying to do is like a semantic search. That's even more fuzzy than fuzzy matching. So like what we do with term-based search, but now we need to take it to the next level and to be able to do similarity search on not just words, but also on other kinds of media, whether it's maybe we need to match against different similar images or similar audio. It's kind of like what we have, with some music matching services. And what we're also seeing some users come up with very creative models, embedding models for their specific data. But in all of those cases, the output is an embedding, which can be put into a vector index, and then you can use that to find similar things like that thing. And it's just a recurring pattern in a lot of cases where we need to give relevant content to inject that into the prompt to the LLM to get good results. So to do that, you need a vector database. That's obviously what that's what DataStax Astra DB is. We have the best distributed vector indexes, in my opinion. It's built on a technology we developed called JVector. You want to check that out on GitHub. But it's not just, that's not enough. I mean, developers, we don't want to go to developers and be like, hey, here's one very small piece of your solution. They need a bigger piece. And to get to that, we need to talk about the frameworks. And so what we're seeing right now is that lots of developers are using either LangChain or Llama Index or some other specific libraries like Colbert to get to orchestrate their operations between their vector database and their LLMs and additional APIs. But DataStax has been in the business of open source and enterprises for a very long time. And one lesson we have learned is that just because you have a popular open source project does not mean that your engineering manager is going to let you use that in a production app. You need a lot more rigor around testing, validation, security checks. And to do that, DataStax has built RagStack, which pulls in the best of the most popular frameworks and adds a level of enterprise rigor to them. We have we're making huge investments in an automated test suites to validate compatibility with various LLMs, embedding models, and common operations in these stacks. So anyway, so that's what we're doing with RagStack, but that is still not enough. Because what we're finding also is that a lot of the most creative people, the people who have the best ideas for how the business could benefit from leveraging AI technologies like LLMs, they're maybe not programmers. Then they need a tool that can help them string these things together and not have to spend who knows how many hours trying to code Python. That's where Langflow comes in. We're really proud. This was a recent acquisition that we made. This is a very friendly tool. It allows you to drag and drop modules and generate LangChain code, but also to execute that code right in front of your face and then expose that as an HTTP API to your coworkers. So it's a fantastic prototyping tool, fantastic POC tool. And I think one of my favorite things is it's a fantastic learning tool. So
Agreed.
this is how we're trying to build the whole stack.
That's awesome. I think with the acquisition of Langflow, I can think of another use case that pops to my mind is semantic caching as well, right? So I'm sure with the power of Langflow together with DataStax as the stack itself, we can expand this. The art is, there's no limit, I think, to creating our GenAI applications.
Completely. And here's the other great part. It's open source. If you go to just GitHub, Langflow, the original company that we acquired, they have a different name now, but anyway, Langflow AI, Langflow, that's the GitHub repo that you're looking for. Great instructions here. You can install it on your laptop. You can install it on an EC2 instance. It's really fantastic, easy to work with, and super fun, actually. Okay.
So Langflow looks great to me, and I have also explored this before when this news came out in the media. I have already tried this on my local machine, and it looks really, really amazing to me. Like I have done some practice over there. So apart from this Langflow, Q, it would be really great if you can explain or if you can show some other tools and stacks in GenAI that that can be helpful for the dev community from the data stack side.
Well, I think like you had a post I saw on LinkedIn about great resources to learn programming. But what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to take that and uh, show what I think is a great resource to learn generative AI and RAG, which, as we mentioned, Langflow. So I'm going to go into this specifically. So I know you said other than this, but I'm going to go to this anyway. I built a workflow in here that's RAG using Bedrock. And what I did, just sort of, this is a very common, we see this a lot. Like you can even do something like this in the playgrounds. But I just went and grabbed this Amazon Bedrock PDF, and it's a Bedrock user guide. So I just grabbed this document, and I have this Bedrock RAG flow. So let me edit this flow. This is Langflow. And in here, what we have, I'm going to zoom out, and you can see that there's two flows defined in here. This top one is a query flow, and this bottom was the data ingest flow. And both of these are using Bedrock for embeddings, and we're using, let me scroll in here, we're using the Titan embed text v1 for the embeddings. We're using AstraDB for the vector database and vector search. We've got some, the prompt, and then we're using Claude Instant v1, and I have streaming enabled for that. And you can see all I had to do is sort of go over here and drag and drop out of these. Like when I wanted to use the Amazon Bedrock embeddings, all I had to do is come in here, grab this, drag it out, and pop, and then I configured it. It's just that easy. And I think that it is very easy for even non-technical users, kind of once you understand the concepts, to string together a retrieval augmented generation flow. What I'm going to do here is I have I'm going to get little fun fact. I was doing this too quickly earlier, and I used this Bedrock user guide. Didn't even notice that it's 1,000 pages, so we get to redo this one over because it took too long to ingest. But so right now we're running through this flow. You can see it's extracting text. It's doing the recursive text splitter. And now it's going to compute the embeddings using the Amazon Titan embed text v1. And then it will insert those. Right now, it's actually, I didn't even have a table, or a collection. We can specify the collection name here, Langflow. And sort of a nothing up my sleeve demo, because the Langflow collection did not exist before even hitting this button. So behind the scenes, it's going to create that collection for me in DataStax Astra, and then it's going to insert all of these chunks for me. So we're going to flip over here. I've actually already logged in. This is the table or the collection. We call it a key space that we're working, or namespace. So we can see that it has created the Langflow collection. So it's doing the inserting those records coming out of that workflow. And let's go see if this completes, because this one was only, I think it was 100 pages. I'm going to give it 30 seconds here. One of the cool things I love about this tool is that you can, okay, completed. Let's go look at that. So I'm going to just refresh here. So we can see 360 records, and we can go through here. We can see the text chunks and then all of the embeddings that were computed. We can also see that the vector embeddings have 1,536 dimensions. We can do some comparisons, like if I wanted to do a similarity search relative to this particular vector here, I can do that. It'll pull up the results. It gives me, as a developer, kind of an idea of how my results, the relevance falls off. So once I get past really actually down to even 10 records, finding other relevant records that are similar to the one whatever the one it was that I clicked on, falling to only 82% there, or this distance calculation of 82, that's actually falling off pretty quickly. So what that tells me as a developer is that I should probably only be doing similarity search, at least for that one, and including those as injecting those into prompts, no more than 3 records, because I can see, at least in that example I gave there. Now, obviously, as a developer, you want to do more searches there to see how your data performs, but that's the purpose of that particular feature. You can go down here, you can see the vector data itself, and I created this with cosine similarity. That's the default. I could have used dot product or Euclidean if I had some weird use case, but this is Astra, this is Langflow. I ingested all that data, and now I can do a regular RAG flow, which uses, I can input whatever text I want. It uses this embedding model again. It's going to search that same collection that I just made, and ultimately feed that to the LLM as context. So for example, if I want to go look at this is the PDF that I ingested. Maybe I want to ask it something that doesn't exist in the LLM already. Let me see. Maybe I do this one. AWS, from data warehousing to development tools, directories to content delivery, over 200 AWS. So let's say how many AWS services are available, and let's see what happens. So I'm going to, I have this flow that's already built. I just down here in the corner hit run, say how many AWS services are available. So this is running this through the LLM. It's thinking, and well over 100. Guess it's not giving me exactly the answer that I wanted, but the important thing here is I can come back and say, well, why? Why did not exactly? I can go back and look at the prompt which it composed, which I can see the additional data that was found in the database and what was injected into the prompt. So that now I can start to debug this and see, I can see from this that for whatever reason, the vector search that I ran did not give me the piece of data that I thought it really needed, which is something saying 200, which it's not in there. So now I know that I need to go back and look at the database and start to understand, why was that chunk not found? But a very powerful tool, very easy for people to use and learn. And then I can click API here and share this with my coworkers, and they can hit this URL. Obviously, in this case, I'm running it on my laptop, but if I was running this as a shared service inside my organization, that would be the IP address of the server they would actually hit. So anyway, that was just a fast whirlwind tour through Langflow and what we do in DataStax Astra and the UI that you can expect to be working with.
That's great. So yeah, I have one question, Q, for you. So let's say that we have created a POC for now, and I want to leverage this code base to create something more, I think more useful or more, I would say, enterprise ready or something like that, So
Sure.
so what should we do in that case? Like do we get the code base, like underlying code or and all those things, or how we?
So what we do is each one of these modules, if you think about them, they're representing a LangChain module behind the scenes. So what we do is we expose, if you click on this little code icon here, a lot of this code is the code that is used to build the actual, the little UI of that widget. But if you dig down here a little deeper, you can see this is the actual, for this particular module, the relevant LangChain code. And so, yes, I could go and extract out the configurations. I could leverage this function as is, and pass in the correct parameters. But the best way to make this available in the enterprise is, like I said earlier, you can come in here, use this as the Python API that you would publish somewhere else, and behind the scenes, it would make a call to a running Langflow server that would then execute the flow that you designed. Now, what we're doing though is on our current roadmap is the idea of being able to publish this as is to production and still have the editability, because I think that one of the things we have seen from many open source projects that are using LangChain is they want the ability to go in and make some modifications, potentially to the code itself, the library code, or at a minimum to the arguments to the constructors of some of those modules, which that's the part that we do. But in the very near future, DataStax looks at going to make a one-click publish feature that you can build a very complicated flow, publish it to production, and use it from there, ideally with little or no code.
Okay.
And Bridge, just to add to that, let's say you have your custom model, right? So you have something outside Bedrock
Right.
and outside your AWS account. If you do some development work today, what Bedrock allows you to do is you can import that model on the
Got
Bedrock
it.
platform.
I
So
see.
think of
Okay.
Bedrock as being not going to create a new model, but we're able to host your model and any open model that as we continue to grow, right? So today we support a few, we're going to onboard more. And then things you've done with SageMaker Jumpstart as well, we can import that to Bedrock.
Okay. Looks great. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I guess that answers my question. My question was, new tools, but those are some pretty fascinating new capabilities.
Yeah.
I really do think that's kind of where it's going. It's going to be a combination of retrieval augmented generation, improving your models, and AWS makes that so easy.
Mhm.
I think that another feature that or technique that most developers are going to have to think about is making sure that they're logging their prompts and responses so that they can leverage that as training data for either fine-tuning foundation models and or building specialized small language models. We're hearing about that from some customers also, and I think AWS makes that easy also.
Yes. No, I think I'm glad you brought up, pre-training and fine-tuning, right? So at the end of the day, data is still going to be key, right? I think everyone has to realize that no matter what advancements or no matter what tool you use, data is going to be key. It's garbage in, garbage out. So if your data is not precise, if it's not accurate, and if you don't provide the right inputs to your model's efficiency is going to go off the charts, right? So for a pharmaceutical company, for example, we cannot give incorrect diagnosis, right? Or let's say you're an airline company, supply chain optimization. If I make an order for a specific asset, it cannot be a different model number, right? So that's going to waste everyone's time and money. So it's all about precision. And how do you achieve that? It's all, as Q mentioned, fine tuning and pre-training. So Bedrock does that for you as well.
Yeah. So I think it's always powerful to show sort of a finished product and a reference. So I'll show you one of the customers that we worked with. This is a slide that we have for it. I'm not going to zoom into this right now. PTC Computer. It's part of their e-commerce site. I'm just going to jump to their site, and here on this right-hand side, we have their AI assistant that's helping people shop on their website. So I can say things like, we could do like, show me laptops under $2,000. So let's see what it does here for me. I mean, I think the power of that is a natural language query. A lot of people don't actually know how to work a lot of the complex filtering tools, especially, let's say, older people. So this is very nice to be able to ask a natural language query. You can also imagine how it would be very trivial for me to add voice to text on top of this for people who maybe can't see very well or type very well on small keyboards, and get powerful search improvements. So you can see how it was able to do that on here. So that's just an example of a real world application that's not exactly like just a chatbot for help, but a chatbot for search too.
All right. So, yeah, thank you, Anthony and Q. It was a really insightful session. I also enjoyed a lot on looking into the Langflow demo, basically. And definitely, I would love to explore more in that area. And I am hopeful that many of developers who follow me over LinkedIn or on the other social media platform, they would love to jump into this and try to make their hands dirty, basically. So yeah, so uh Yeah, going forward, I would love to ask a few other questions, but right now I think we are running over the time. So yeah, maybe in our next session we are going to have a lot more interesting stuffs, and we are going to walk through a lot of other things, which I'm sure is going to help a lot of folks around the world. Okay, so for now, I have seen many of my friends in the dev community. They come to me and ask, hey, is there any link or is there any instruction where I can go and I can get started, I mean, without wasting my time? Okay, so I wonder if you have any link or QR code which you can share, uh, yeah, so that our friends can, simply go over there and get started.
Yep. I am happy to pull up one Q while you pull up yours. So let me do this. This is something that, yep, if you can see my screen. So, in fact, this time is not enough, Bridge, like you mentioned, right? There's a lot of features that I want to talk about with Bedrock and how you can simplify, everything that we just talked about. So there's a hands-on experience for users who want to have that hands-on experience and get their hands dirty. There is a step-by-step tutorial, not 1,000 pages long, hopefully, less than 1,000, and then everything about Bedrock as a service, right, and more. Maybe the next time we chat, all of us, this might be outdated and we might have new instructions. So stay tuned.
Yeah, and for me, through the magic of video editing, we're going to put a couple of QR codes up here. Just click on these. It's going to take you to our sign up and some of our documentation. And then I showed you the way to get to the Langflow GitHub repo, which has all the directions that you need there to get started. It's really a lot of fun.
Thank you all. Thanks for joining in. And it was a great discussion and very interactive. I'm sure the developers, once they listen to this, they can put their comments, and QR codes are provided. You can always come back and keep asking us more queries on it, because we want you to leverage the way how we have made the AI 100x easier, right? And Langflow is open source, a visual framework for GenAI RAG applications, RAG applications, and which can be deployed in minutes. You have seen at speed at which you can do it. You can now focus on what you do your best, and in developing your apps, while you get these tools which are open source and powered by AWS and DataStax, bringing together solutions that can solve and make things more easier as we proceed further. Thank you so much. See you all. Bye.
Thank you. Pleasure talking to everyone. Cheers.
Yeah. So basically, it was a really insightful session. I also learned a lot of things, as I said before. And going forward, we are going to have a lot of uh, insightful session where we are going to demonstrate a lot of things on the fly. So yeah, please stay tuned, and we are going to announce our next video very soon. Okay, so thank you all for being with me, and I hope you are going to enjoy this. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.